Welcome to Building Bridges, a new segment on Startnet Espresso, where we explore other protocols and individuals shaping the future of decentralized infrastructure. Today, we are diving into Open Economies Campus, a bold initiative accelerating early-stage innovations on Scroll. Joined today with Emily, who leads growth at Scroll and Open Economy. She works closely with early builders in the ecosystem. Let's dive right in. So, welcome, Emily, to Building Bridges on Startnet Espresso. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, great. So one of the things that actually attracted me to your profile was Open Campus, and I've been thinking about it. Well, I think before we get to that, why don't you just introduce yourself to our audience and tell us how you got into blockchain and what led you to Open Campus and Scroll as a consequence too?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I've kind of been all over the place. Work history wise, basically, I graduated. I started off as a full-time engineer, realized I like coding, I like building, but I don't think being a straight up engineer was for me. So I kind of went through my quarter life crisis at 25 and was like, what do I do? What do I love to do? And so the answer was at the time, I really liked food. Right. I still really like food. So it's like, okay, cool. What if I work in food? Because before I worked in B2B SaaS, and B2B SaaS is not a sexy industry, right? It's not for sure. And then at that time, I kept my full-time job, but then kind of as a side hustle, I spun up a fermented beverage business. So if anyone here is familiar with water kefir, it was a drink I was introduced to in Malaysia when I was backpacking through there. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. Kombucha was taking off in the US at the time. So we brought it to the States, got into 12 coffee shops and 4 grocery stores, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was very tiring though, because I was canning all of these drinks by hand. My fun fact, I guess, is I've canned over 6,000 cans of fermented beverages. All by myself. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyways, I realized this was way too tiring. I think the other thing was food felt like a bit of a solved industry in a sense, compared to things like software or tech innovation. Because food is a lot of just does your brand packaging look good and what's your distribution like? And also at the time, basically, I was actually going to quit my full-time job to go further into it. That's when COVID started. So it's I don't want to kind of make a risky life decision at this point, which is good because then it gave me 2 full years to kind of think about what I wanted next, right? So the question is how did I get into blockchain? That was kind of my pivot point. So I'm fortunate that my sister works in DevRel in crypto. And she's kind of always been my guiding light. So when I didn't know what I wanted with my life, I kind of was chatting with her and she was like, have you heard about crypto? Are you interested? Maybe DevRel is also for you because it's kind of that mix between being a developer, but being more I guess, front facing, talking to people. That's the part that I liked about the beverage business was actually demoing in grocery stores. So kind of taking that same spirit, but applying it to dev tools. And I was like, yeah, I've heard of crypto. All the bros at in college were trading it at the time. The idea of DeFi and all of that was compelling, but I don't think it was personally interesting to me at the time. But that's kind of when NFTs were blowing up as well. And for me, I am more on the creative side. So I write and I do all these things. So kind of finding the ability to have true ownership of digital assets was really cool. And so that's kind of when I went and transitioned. I started working at Consensus in the DevRel side. And then I was there for around 2 years. That's kind of where I grew most in terms of my understanding of the industry, making all the connections. And then I started working so I helped launch Linea. So it's another ZK rollup if people aren't familiar with it. So I was on Linea before, like when they launched public testnet, and then up until like a little bit after mainnet, right? And then after that, I made the transition to scroll. I mean, there's like a number of reasons. Part of it is just like I knew the team really well. And they
Okay.
were looking for someone to, I guess, take over their lead DevRel position. And so from like a career opportunity wise, like I thought it was like a good switch, but also like I don't think like one tech is better than the other, for example, but like I don't know. My personal opinion, there's like room for more. Maybe not as many L2s that
Yeah.
exist, right? But like I think there's a handful, right? And at the end of the day, it's like I really like the team. I felt like there was a lot of opportunity there. And so I made over the switch, right? So I started out at Scroll in the DevRel side. And this is kind of where open economy spun out from, was because we were kind of looking at the landscape of like, okay, what were the things that weren't working, especially with regards to chains? I can't speak for like, I don't think this applies for dev tools, right? But like
Yeah.
the meta of chains looking for as many dApp developers as possible was just a broken model, right? Because if you think about it from like a business perspective, and like if we were to run chains like actual businesses,
Yeah.
from like a Web 2 sense, right? Your goals are always users or revenue,
Exactly. Exactly.
right? Your goal is not number of developers. That's just a tactic to get you to like what will actually keep you sustainable, right? So what open economy was done was the spirit of like, okay, we're going to be highly selective about a specific group of dApp developers who will, number one, like work with us very closely. Because I think there's a lot of things of like each chain has their own ecosystems, technical, I guess, capabilities compared to others, and you kind of want to choose founders that are good fit for like why
Yeah.
scroll, for example. And then also the kind of breaking out of the meta of like crypto builders only serving crypto audiences, if that makes sense. So something I noticed a lot, especially because I'm on the DevRel side, so we do a lot of
Yeah.
hackathons and hacker houses and all of that, is there's like very talented developers, but they don't kind of know what to do with themselves afterwards, even if they have like a good idea or a good
Yeah.
product, right? So open economy was kind of like the inspiration between that as well. Like we know a bunch of developers who are just very talented, but they don't know where to go past that. And like open economy was kind of our in-person experience to like work one-on-one in a very concentrated period of time. And like the goal metric then is like our goal is to get like users and revenue. The tactic is let's just go all in on a handful of dApps and like help them achieve that for themselves versus get like 200 applications and then they figure it out on their own. Right.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the inspiration between open economy. The other part of it too, as well, was we opened it up to non-crypto builders. So we had crypto build, it was majority crypto, but we had two as well. One guy was like building capsule housing. Another girl was building like fitness. She wanted to figure out a fitness app thing. And I think from that, like the takeaway is like number one, I think if you really want to onboard crypto like users, you need to onboard them via apps they're already using, right? So like what is the gateway to bring in existing Web 2 apps that are interested in crypto but don't know where to start, right? Like that's one
Yeah.
example of like why would you do that? I think the other piece is like especially when it comes to in-person programs, we are also very selective about vibes, right? And vibes of a pure crypto space, I think, are not as beneficial as like when we mix and match people working in different industries. So like
Yeah.
not like there's like I guess one aspect of like I am a non-crypto app, but I don't really know anything about crypto other than what I see on the news. Right. So I
Yeah.
learn a lot more from learning from other crypto builders in the space. On the other hand, it's like we have crypto builders who are I'm going to be honest, usually a bit narrow-minded, very like crypto focused. Like don't know, or like for even for me, it's like, how do I even talk to a non-crypto person anymore? Like it's the same thing where I was like, I don't think I'll ever have a job again that's not in Web3 because I have zero clue how to interact or like what corporate means, right? But like cross-pollination of experiences, things like that is super important. So that's like, I guess, pillar two. And then the last thing about like open economy and why we did this was there is a thesis around a lot of these founder programs already exist, right? So it's nothing new. But like I would say like the best ones are the ones that most people aspire to are like ones that are located in SF, right? And I mean, with good reason, there's like really good networks, like opportunities, like there's a lot more money flowing. But the problem we encountered, especially like Scroll, because we moved towards focusing more on emerging markets
Yeah.
versus, I think that was the other thing about like why I wanted to go to Scroll is they're very opinionated on making like big bets, right?
Okay.
So like I think there's a lot of projects that also say like we're gonna target a bunch of countries, but like for us, it's just like as a smaller chain, we don't have the capacity to do that. And also like when it comes to finding our fit and crypto in general, like and our biggest communities, they were in places like Africa, LATAM, and Southeast Asia. And so the thesis is like, okay, what if we brought those same opportunities to founders who don't have access to SF, whether that because of visa or also it's just like so expensive, right?
Yeah.
And like when you're not in the US being paid a US salary, and it's like honestly the same, if you're not in California getting paid California salary, like SF is just not
Yeah.
possible, right? So we built our campus in Malaysia in Kuala Lumpur
Yeah.
because it's really easy for people to get visas compared to like the US, for example. And then like cost of living is also like really low. I had like fried rice almost every day when I was there, and one like big plate was 2 USD, right? Like that's just insane. I Ubered to campus like every day, and that was like $5, which is much more doable for people all over the world. And also
Yeah.
just like if you're a bootstrapped founder, makes way more sense, right? So that was like thesis number three of like, okay, how do we support builders in these emerging markets? What kind of really cool ideas come out from like non-US centric things, right? So I mean, it was cool. Like we got a project that was building, like doing what do you call it? Like microfinancing for Kenyan farms, for example.
Oh.
The capsule housing guy was like, he specifically an architect in China. So his market is like Chinese and Taiwan market, right? So yeah. And then I guess from that point, actually, I have migrated off of being the DevRel. I'm no longer a DevRel. I've moved fully into growth marketing at Scroll, specifically in service of like, okay, what are the different distribution strategies and ways we can work more closely like with these campus builders. Yeah, both like on campus and then moving forward. So we have, yeah, so like campus is not like, it's like 1 month of like super intense work, but then past that, we continue to support you and like figure out ways of like, okay, what works in our ecosystem, what makes sense, things like that, with an opportunity for funding as well. So we did fund projects, but I can't say which ones because our legal team went on vacation. Nothing has been signed yet, but like when it does, like you'll hear about it on our Twitter and everything. But I'm just like, oh God. See, this is why I'm like, you know, you can't go on vacation because then stuff like this happens. Yeah,
It's
so
it's
that was a
understandable.
lot. So yeah,
Yeah, I
I think
mean
I talked.
that's a detailed description and journey that you've outlined so far. And I think one of the things that actually attracted me to your page was the open campus thing because I saw it and I'm like, oh, this is a wonderful opportunity. And of course, I think it was back in 2024, last year. That was I was in Web3 Bridge when we heard about Scroll the first time, and a couple of my friends hopped onto it. So when I saw it, I'm like, oh, this is a good opportunity for everyone that hopped onto Scroll. You've talked about the structure of the open campus, how it works. Are there opportunities for, is it like a hybrid setting where people that are online can get on? So everybody is supposed to be on campus for now?
Yeah, so open economy is kind of the umbrella of everything we're doing with regards to supporting dApp builders, or app builders, not dApp builders, sorry.
Yeah.
There's an online component. We did a hackathon the first time. This time we did just like a vibe code boot camp. So from that perspective, that is more the online portion. It's like self-service. We'll tell you the same things that we like work on the campus side. Because honestly, my opinion is everything you need to learn is already online, right? The only thing missing is like either dedicated mentorship, like someone who has time to answer all of your personal questions or like
Yeah.
do something very personalized and tailored, right? So the online portion does exist. Our thing just finished. I think the next round of that will probably be in October or November, or maybe next year. I don't know. I want to take a vacation. But yeah, like the principles of everything is still there, right? Like
Yeah.
campus itself, it is mandatory that you are online IRL with
Okay.
us, because otherwise it just doesn't make sense.
Oh,
Uh,
great, great. So what's the process of getting to the cohort?
Yeah, a good question. So our current cohort is open right now for season two. So season two starts in September. Applications close this Friday, and hopefully decisions get sent out as fast as possible. So in this case, typically what the, I guess, application process is like through the online program, we'll select at least one to go, and then we have like 9 spots left, right? Sorry, I'm like burping.
Sorry, it's fine.
Um, yeah, otherwise it's just open applications. Like you'll need an MVP, right? But we're really targeting kind of early founders. So
Yeah.
if you've already raised and all of that, at least for season two, it doesn't make as much sense because we're kind of like be there to be your first check and like help you get off the ground, right? But yeah, I mean, it's just like simple things. So basically, your project website or like app or whatever you're building, description, a demo, and then the most important thing is just like an introduction of yourself. Um, or the two most important things are a history of building. So, like, are you just like always doing interesting things or like always building kind of thing? And then the other one is just like, I don't want to say it's like, are you cool? But because we're only selecting 10, I think it is also very important to curate a group of 10 people who are, I guess you could say, like open to learning from each other, and wanting to work more collaboratively as opposed to, I think, people who are there just for themselves, right? So
Yeah.
campus is as much an opportunity for us to work directly with you, but I think also an opportunity for you to, I mean, like maybe you stop building what you were building at campus and find a new co-founder. I think that's totally fine, right? Like people can
Yeah.
pivot if they want, right? So like find your next co-founder, find a friend, find a support group. Because it's also really difficult, I think, just like being a founder in general.
It is.
Um, yeah, like your friends don't understand you. Right? Like
It
why are
is.
you working on this? Why are you like you could get a way stabler job with consistent pay and like all of this. But finding other people who are like really choosing to take bets on themselves is a really nice environment and important kind of part of what we think about when we say like who is the type of person we want to bring into like campus. So yeah, I think the introduction video is pretty important. Yeah. Also, a lot of people submit introduction videos that is also just their demo video, and I'm like, that's not what I wanted. So like, actually follow the directions, I guess. Like, no, just be like, hey, I'm Emily. I like frogs. Like, I'm excited to build. Blah blah blah. Right. And then we do also ask for a pitch deck. It doesn't have to be super polished, and all of this stuff we give you a template, so just fill it out,
Yeah.
and it should be relatively straightforward.
Oh,
Um,
oh, fair enough.
yeah.
So you've mentioned there are 10 people for this cohort. I'm wondering, is there any quota system for regions? Like, say, in Africa, you have 2 people, in Asia, you have 5, or is there something like that? Or is basically mainly based on merit?
It's, I would say, mainly based on merit. Like, we ideally have majority people from Southeast Asia, Africa, Latam. So last time in our cohort of 10, we had 2 projects from India. Okay, I don't remember the makeup, but we had one project from Kenya, one project from um, Argentina, I think like 3 from Southeast Asia, and then the
Mm.
rest was like outside of that. So it was at least half um, were like in our target regions. So I guess like merit is also like, yes, like how polished is your app, right? And like it just naturally we bring in projects from those regions because the types of projects we care about serve those regions, right?
Okay.
Um, and also like that's just where most of our people are. So it kind of shakes out naturally that it is that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am hesitant about quotas in general because I think it's just like when I only have 10 slots as well. I am
Yeah.
taking an individual bet on each person, right? So to force something into like something is like I don't think good practice and is also a disservice to the other founders that are there,
Yeah.
right? But at least for like both our online portion and like actual campus, we haven't had a problem with like finding at least one builder from like all the places we care about, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Great.
So,
So one other thing I was going to look at was, the structure of the on-site
mhm.
learning. What does it look like for mentors? Because they have access to mentors 24/7. I'd like to assume that. What does it look like? Their daily activities. What does it look like?
Yeah, so that's a really interesting question because we get that a lot. Like people are looking for structure. And the honest answer, right, is campus is not a boot camp, right? We are not a class that you kern in homework in like every week. I think, well, okay, there is like just a progress check-in, but I think there's like 2 philosophies or like 2 types of like programs as well. There's ones that are very structured that are like hold your hand the entire time. Um, and then there's ones like us where it's more like we will set you on the right rails and like connect you with the right people, and help you wherever you can, but we're not like I don't want to say like we're not doing it for you in a sense, right? So
Yeah.
we have like weekly lectures, um, mostly centered around like growth, communication, like how you talk about your projects, like things to think about. But it's interesting too, because for season 1, I did have a schedule and it kind of just went like as I got to know the projects, the things I had pre-planned to talk to just didn't make sense, right? Like, so typically it's like we have at least one lecture a week, right? And like the first one's usually just about like proper goal setting, right? But for the rest of it, it's like I have a rough idea, right? Like I said, one's focused on like how to write copy, what does it look like to do UGC and like stuff like that. But it's highly dependent on the cohort itself, and sussing out kind of what they need, right? And your day to day mostly is just building, right? Like you're trying to
Yeah.
be a founder on your app. If I'm taking time away from you, then like you should would
Yeah.
actually benefit from being at home
Yeah,
than being
exactly.
with us, right? Like it's just more like can we accelerate your growth or like really help you gain a lot of information in 4 weeks? So yeah, I think that's also kind of like something people were surprised by when it came to cohort one, but then also felt thankful for at the end was it was a lot of like, what's our schedule for day? Like, what are we doing? And I'm like, build your app, like try to find a user, like be a founder. Like at some point you should be like flying on your own and like make these
Yeah.
decisions for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was another like also high signal thing that was super interesting from like a psychology standpoint is it really did start off as just like the scroll team and other people that we connected with were in the same room at the same time. And I think there's when you go to hackathons, like DevRels are very active about going to every table, talking to every dev, asking them if they need help, etc. Right? But campus was actually the flipped model where it was more focused on just build, and if you have questions, come to us, right? And
Oh.
if they have zero questions, I don't know. It's like question mark on them, right? Like, and it doesn't even
Yeah.
have to be like they're asking us for advice. I think there's so much value in just like if you're looking for 10 users, you have 10 users in the room who are like here
Yeah.
IRL to give you feedback, right? Tell you like what their opinion is. Just test if they understand how to use your app, right? And if they're not coming up and like doing their own kind of grinding work in a very comfortable environment, then it's also like, I don't know, when they leave, are they going to be able to sustain themselves on their own? Which is
Yeah.
like a very different mindset than I think what you would see at a hackathon, for example.
Yeah, so
Um,
I think what it does is it prepares people to stand on their own just right from onset. I think that is what I take out from it. Are there any particular
yeah.
projects that you have, what would you say, that you're focused in, that you're zoomed in on? Any particular brand of projects that you guys are particular about?
Yeah, that's a good question. So like for the most part, it is like financial apps that are like I would say, yeah, most of them were finance apps. I don't want to say there was like anything specific that we were like looking for. Um, but to give you kind of a lay of the land of like what happened last cohort was like I mentioned, we had like the Canyon microfinance app or like providing credit to Canyon farmers. We had one that was like um sending crypto and receiving purely through WhatsApp. One focused like only on consumer, like DeFi, so specifically for non crypto natives. Like,
Okay.
what does the world's best UX look like on mobile for a crypto app for someone who doesn't understand, right? And stuff like that. So that's the, I think, easiest kind of types of projects to understand and come through. But I wouldn't say there's like anything concrete because I'll give you an example, right? We had a girl come through who all she knew is she wanted to build something in fitness, right? She didn't know
Yeah.
what she wanted to build or like what the right thing was. But like she was really cool because she had a really good mindset, which was there are so many things I can build in fitness, but how do I get signal the fastest? Right. So
Yeah.
she was like, she was talking with me because I'm a very unfit person. She was like, what do you need? And then basically she was like, I told her like, oh, I suffer a lot from tech neck, right? I'm also getting
Okay.
married next year, so it's
Oh,
like very important that my
congratulations.
posture is good for like photos and everything. And so she launched a PDF of just like tech neck exercises
Yeah.
online, and it got like 100K plus views, and all the comments were like, "Oh my
Oh.
God, like I have tech neck just looking at this phone," or like I need this, whatever, etc. And that was like validation, right? And then now she's actually building a real Technic app, right? Um, And so that was I think a really good example of like how do you get signal fast and then like build the right thing, which I think is another thing like we focus on at campus, right? And so she is a crypto person, so she worked in crypto, but she's building a non-crypto app right now. But later down the line, she is thinking about adding crypto back into the app. But I don't know. I think that's just like the right mindset in general. Like make the app work, like make sure
Yeah.
people want it, right? And then like if crypto makes sense for it, then great. If it doesn't, then like then I guess not. I mean, not I wouldn't say like not great, but it's like totally
Yeah.
fine. I think it's also like a lot of people come in for funding. I mean, the honest answer is like it's gonna be hard for you to get funding from Scroll unless funding makes sense from them, right? Which means like probably needs to be crypto. But the other upside is like, I think number one, the relationship building. So even if we don't directly fund you, like we're very connected within like the VC sphere, right?
Mm.
Or like getting you to the point where when you're ready for those conversations, you now have an in to make a warm introduction, right? So even
Yeah.
if it's not money coming from us, it is the relationships that can be built from knowing the right people, right? So yeah. I mean, hard to say. I mean, it's probably like 7 to 8 projects will be like crypto, already know what they want to do in crypto, and then 2 to 3 will be like non-crypto,
Mm.
right?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm going to
So,
put you on the spot for just for 1 minute. So I know you've worked
oh
in
no.
linear and now you're on scroll. What makes scroll the best place for, what would you say, upcoming founders to build on?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, I think the answer is actually very interesting because it's like, honestly, I think it depends on the founder, at least from the scroll perspective, right? Like, depending on what you're building, scroll might not make the most sense. Um, like, I guess audience wise or um yeah, it's hard to say. Like, I wouldn't say one is better than the other. I think one is like, what are you looking for specifically? So at least when I was at Linea, we very much took the approach of just like try to do everything all at once, which I think has its own merits. And I don't want to like say anything bad about like Linea, right?
Yeah,
Like I think
yeah, sure.
they were fortunate in the sense that like they were backed by consensus, right? So they have like a lot of resources and kind of, I guess, institutional kind of relationships with like a
Yeah,
consensus, for example. But I think Scroll, the reason I really like Scroll is like because we don't have that, it is both like a boon, but also a crutch, right? I think we are allowed to make very opinionated decisions and also decisions that are much faster, right?
okay.
So I think like in terms of wanting to be a part of an ecosystem that is able to change quickly and react is like something that you might want to consider. And the main thing I think is also like do you want to be like I think the better example is like white scroll versus base, right? Like at least like anecdotally, it's been like, do you want to be one of like a bunch of applications on base? Or do you want to be the one application that Scroll is taking a bet on? Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and for me personally, and this is why I like Scroll's approach, and this is, I mean, something that we kind of discovered and worked on, and why Open Economy Board like came out of it, is just like it's hard being a builder in general, right? It's hard being a founder and I want as much help as I can get. And at least with Scroll, what I can promise is whatever you put in, we will also put in, if not more, right?
yeah,
And if that's something you want, like go build on Scroll. The flip side is like it's far more exclusive, right? So in
yeah,
terms of being able to be that founder that we like ultimately like put all of our effort and like it's not even like value money, like time is money and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, it's a two-way street. So I think that's kind of like where I'm at in terms of what do you want as a founder? And the answer is maybe what do you even need? Maybe you don't need all of this like personalized support. Um, and that's totally fine too, right? But yeah, yeah. I don't know.
Agreed.
It really depends. I think the other thing is like also for scroll, at least for us and the application we choose, it's also we care a lot about the ecosystem relationships between founders.
Yeah.
So whether or not you're a fit in terms of how you like collaborate with other founders in the scroll ecosystem, um, or like again that collaborative spirit of like, will you, how well do you work? Because like we've had like other projects actually put checks into projects that come in, right? So like I don't want to say like bigger projects like funding smaller projects, but like creating that kind of environment is super important to us, right? So it's like if you are a founder that we're bringing into it, it's just like you also get brought into a space where we're going to make the connections for you that make the most sense and like help you grow like via not just like I guess you could say like scroll as a marketing engine, but also just like grow technically, help provide liquidity from like other applications and things like that. Yeah.
Oh, great, great. So just to make sure I get the timing right, the time frame right, people have until Friday to register for this cohort.
Yeah,
Agree.
yeah. So pretty fast. But I mean, like, I guess the answer is if you already have an MVP, that's all you need, right?
Okay. Well, fair enough.
And the rest of it is like a template. So
Fair
I
enough.
made a template for everything. I literally wrote just fill in this piece, right? And if you don't fill it in, that's totally fine. You can take your own take on it. But if your answer is I don't know what to put down, then I don't know. Read instructions.
Great,
Yeah.
great. It's really been nice talking to you today. I guess the next question would be looking forward at Open Economy Build, also the cohorts exactly. What do we expect in the future? What's the vision?
Yeah, that's a good question that I think we're still trying to figure out. I mean, the vision from the start, I think, is like to be the landing place for builders. Well, okay, our most recent, I guess, launch is like I started off with the line of like we want to be the first to back you and the first to believe in you.
Yeah,
Right. And so I think what comes in the future of open economy and stuff like that is to really find all the people who are like be the default name, right? So if you're like a builder and you've done a lot of things and you know you have this idea you really want to jump all in on, and you think about where is the place I want to go. Open economy is enough of a brand and house name that you're like, okay, this is something
yeah,
I aspire for. So I think that's the grand vision, right? I think the other thing I said was like, people ask me, and I was like, open economy is successful when it is a bigger name than Scroll, right? Because at
yeah,
the
yeah,
end, all of these chains are infrastructure. Eventually, like people say it doesn't matter. And the answer is it really doesn't matter whether you build on Scroll or whether you build on Linea, whether you build on Base or
yeah,
Starknet or whatever. Like in the early phases, yeah, it matters because a lot of it is like, do you care about um, like, what are the things you optimize for, right? So I guess that's one example. If you like look at like ZK chains versus like optimistic chains, just like
yeah.
security wise, like we have people who specifically choose to build on Scroll because of security, right? But then that's like a developer choice you
Choice,
make
yeah,
early on, right? Which is a very small audience compared to, I think, open, especially if we continue on this route of like accepting non-crypto builders, right? So yeah, I don't know. I guess my personal goal is Open becomes a bigger brand name than Scroll, right? But that's also just my goal for crypto in general. Like when
Yeah.
all the chains are just like the decision between AWS, Microsoft Azure, and like
Okay.
uh I don't remember what the Google one is called. Is it just Google Cloud? But yeah. So yeah, that's the dream, I guess you could say.
Yeah, well, I think we are approaching that level very soon. I think that's where we're headed to soon. Um, it's been really, really interesting and insightful, especially learning more about open economy and the cohorts involved. Let's say for our listeners that want to follow up and see what is being done on open economy and subsequent cohorts that are going to come in, how do they get in touch with everybody on?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way is just like find us on Twitter _open economy. Or like check out our website, openeconomy.xyz. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, great, great. I don't know. Am I missing anything? Is there something else you'd like to talk about before we wrap up?
I don't think so. I mean, I talked a lot, so I'm like more like, oh no. I tend to ramble. So I don't know if you just post these podcasts as is or you actually edit and cut. So I'm like, good luck.
How about that? I'm thinking I'm going to leave this last part.
Okay. You can leave this last part too. It's fine. Everyone will be like, wow, so relatable. That's the goal.
It's fine. Thank you so much, Emily, for joining us today. It's been an insightful episode and fun too. Thank you very much for joining.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me.
That's a wrap on today's conversation. Huge thanks to Emily for joining us and offering such thoughtful insights into the mission behind open economy and how Scroll is supporting early projects. If you're building, this is the energy to tap into. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more sessions of Building Bridges on StartNet Espresso. Until next time, keep showing up, keep building, and bye for now.